here's the deal. Today, I'm proud to introduce some friends of mine. We're going to be rocking and rolling. To my right here is Chip Z'Nuff, leader and co-founder of Enuff Z'Nuff. To his right is Brad White, co-founder of CEU. Yep. And to the right is Rob Miller. Rob Miller, he's done advertising, everything. But the reason why we're here, Chip, is like, I got a list here of either shows I've been involved with you or seen you.
Yeah.
And plus, I brought Rob along, and because we all have history here.
Of course, Rob's the guy who helped put Rocklahoma together.
Yeah, we have legendary history. So basically, we can just, if there's something we want to talk about, like Rob, you want to start off talking about fast forward to 2007 when we invaded the Strip of Hollywood and had a press release for Rocklahoma. And from the bottom of my heart, before we even start this, is I want to thank you for not only putting out great music, but being my friend for so long, since early 80s, 90s when I saw you at the Dallas City Limits. But without your input and stuff, we would have probably never done Rocklahoma.
Yeah.
And
I remember the phone call, 2 o'clock in the morning. You said, listen, I had a dream, Rob. We want to put together a thing called Rocklahoma, and I need you to get all the agents together and get these bands. So get a pen and piece of paper and write these names down.
You're right.
And I did, and I called the agent. I got Sullivan Big, I got Artists Worldwide, called all my friends out in the industry, and they all got the bands together, and we were able to put together a fantastic celebration of rock.
But which is, to me, has been unmatched with that genre.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That what us four have put on, it was the timing was right. The things that we got to do is the promotions. Like Rob, you were promotions. Let's talk about some of the promotions that we did to get to Rocklahoma.
Listen, the biggest thing that we did was once you had the bands booked, and that's a true testament to what Chip did here, because he got all the bands on, and you guys as well, got all the bands together quickly, okay? And then because that happened, the word of mouth started really, people were talking about Rocklahoma long before we announced it.
Yeah. Again, I remember, when all that was taking place, the night before Max had spoke to Chip, we were, and I tell this story because, people had kind of lost faith in albums by that time, or at that time. It's all coming back, as we know. But at that time, Max still had, this big set of, albums, and we're thumbing through here and we're looking at all these bands. I'm like, fuck, man, where are we going to, all these guys are either, I don't know how to get a hold of them, that's not, and he goes, I know who to call. And he goes, I'm going to call Chip. Chip's he'll get everybody. And, so I remember that fondly, that, a lot of the bands that we were looking at in the beginning were really bands that Max and I had, just cut our teeth on, in terms of, bands we had supported, bands that we had, tried to help out along the way anytime they were rolling through. As you know, Max was always, you're coming through Oklahoma, you better call Max and see what's going on, So it was really, an opportunity for us, as not, we're not musicians. Our contribution to music is supporting the musicians and putting the shows on and coming up with,
believing in it like the artist does.
Yeah, absolutely. So, it was awesome that, you picked up, and it was awesome that, you were able to grab everybody so quick.
It all started on January 12th or December 10th of 1990 at Docks. When you play, that was your first taste of Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And then from there, you got a little bit of radio buzz from the Cat. And then you came back and we had another club called Kinetics, and you played that, and we doubled in size. and then we took a chance on you and came.
Well, it certainly helped in the beginning too, because Rick Krim over at MTV started playing the Enuff Z'Nuff new thing off the
yeah,
debut
that's what
record.
I remember. Everything
and then they
was...
called our agency at the time was Premiere, and they said, we got a great tour for you guys. You ever hear of Jake Healy? I said, absolutely, love Jake Healy. So the very first run for Enuff Z'Nuff coming out here was Jake Healy, Ray Gillen, Greg Chasen, and the drummer
the
from
ones
Kiss.
we did were you guys were solo.
Yeah, it was just you at that
it was
time.
just-
Because
But you
after
were on
that
that
first
ro-
video, and it took off exponentially.
After that video, it was like,
and it's
shit.
what it is. It's about strength in numbers, guys.
Yep.
It still is in this
Yeah.
business
The
right now.
coolest thing
And
about
people started calling the MTV and requesting that video, and then we got bigger tours.
the coolest thing about the MTV Fly High Michelle, or the new thing, the ones you were playing on there, is I can remember going to when strip clubs closed and going to after parties,
Yeah.
and MTV being on there,
Yeah.
and here comes your song,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember, the rumor has it that you had a little sleeping bag at one of the strip clubs. You were staying there.
Yeah.
Old habits are
He had
hard
his
to break,
own
okay?
door. He had his own door.
And I'm guilty as charged as well, because I used to go to those strip clubs too, and they were a lot of fun.
Well, they were, they
the
weren't.
trim was
I don't
outstanding.
know that they are what they used to be. At that time,
In
the
some
music.
places there, depends where you
Yeah.
go to. If you go to England
Yeah.
and you go to Johnny Stringfellow's, it's top notch. And it's
Yeah.
all the rock stars going
Well,
there and hanging out. It's fun.
but at that time, all the music was really driving that.
And your
so
DJ,
when you go into the
DJs
club,
that were there were important because they were picking up on it. And girls started dancing to your music.
The girls were important because the girls were picking up on it and going, "That's a song I want to dance to." So when that, and of course, Chip's music was all in there.
It fit perfect, yeah.
It was
It's nice.
fit perfect, and the girls were like, I'm
or
dancing to that.
then you get a program.
And they were all
you get a
called Michelle.
You get a program director like Chris Baker who liked you, and then you got a guy over here like Rob. And so, here you go. You're on the radio, and they were able to maneuver and do some Cat Fest. Yeah. And I can remember when you played here one time when y'all played acoustic. Yeah. And then hanging out the Samurai.
Yeah.
And
those were fun.
Yeah,
times.
Jam with Extreme.
yes.
And all the good bands.
Oh, yeah.
Days I Like Guns, Faster
He
Pussycat.
played with Extreme at the zoo.
Yeah. That Chris Baker was the catalyst to a lot of that stuff. A lot of people don't know Chris, so wonderful program director, took chances on bands, didn't just look at MTV and the barometer, what was happening there. If he heard music and he liked the image of that band, he would grab them and bring them out here. And
He didn't
that
like
radio
me,
station,
but it was cool.
Radio station,
that's
that was a
not
big
true.
station for all of us, and we all paid homage to him.
Yeah.
And I thank him because he set the tone for the future for us, which was Rocklahoma.
So, back in the day, Jeff, our historian, he has found that.
That's incredible.
That's yours.
It's
It's
beautiful.
an Enuff Z'Nuff ticket from the Diamond Ballroom
It's fun. It's very cool.
in like 1991.
Wow, I could tell you a lot of stories there. There's so much stuff that was going on, but most of it is unprintable. I gotta be honest with you guys, okay? But no, some good times because we had the old Nirvana tour bus then, The whole scene was changing at that time, and the Seattle scene was happening with those Nirvana and Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains. It was a really good scene at Soundgarden. Good bands. But a lot of bands like us were starting to take a back seat because MTV was changing their whole policy. But for some reason, we stuck in there and we kept playing and doing those tours and going out there, and the crowds were great. And the singles were still getting played, and guys like Chris were still playing our stuff on radio.
Well, and the other thing of it is too, the difference between Enuff Z'Nuff and a lot of those bands, those hair bands and everything, was you guys. Man, you took after the Beatles. It's back in the day. If you look at it now, the way you were marketed with the way you were dressed and everything, the concept didn't go. The music was way better than what people.
Well, people were listening with their eyes instead of their ears.
Correct.
And listen, those were not hair bands. It was a jag-off behind a desk at some record company going, I got a new style. We're going to call this hair bands. And that guy that did that was a guy that was a musician who failed miserably at what we did. Now he's going to critique us. Those bands like Poison and Motley Crue and White Snake and Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
It's rock bands, the guys that in Black Rose.
Well, I don't even.
Those are rock
When did
bands
it
that have long
start?
hair in
When
it,
did it
and
start
we're
being
flamboyant.
called hair bands?
It was a jag-off back in the 90s when the grunge came out and they were looking for another thing to go, we got to hear, let's call this hair band. And they lumped everybody together, the bands like Faster Pussycat and Joe Lestay, his
Bang Tango.
Bang Tango guys. and L.A. Guns. Those are not hair bands as far as I'm
Right.
concerned. It's rock bands that live and breathe rock 24/7.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was a niche that got caught on, and radio stations started calling it hair bands. But you don't hear Guns N' Roses getting called a hair band. We came out at the same time. They were just as glam as we were. Metallica was glam before we came out.
Right.
Pantera. It was label mates. I love those cats. I love Phil and the guys.
Yeah.
Those cats were colorful and flamboyant,
Right.
wore tight pants
Sure.
and dressed to the right and pushed everything over and wore lipstick and makeup. But they all changed. Everybody got out of it.
Sure.
We, for some reason, didn't. We continue to stay honest and true to our image. And maybe it was a mistake, but here I am, 2024, and we're still making records. Our 21st record's getting ready to come out. We're still playing music. We go out on tour. We work with the biggest bands around the country, and it's really a blessing from above.
Yeah.
Well, Chip, consistently through the years, you have written great music, okay, and you've stayed with that all these years. And
Thank you.
That's a true testament that it was more about the music than, I guess, the visual and you selling out.
Yeah.
Well, for the first 25, 30 years, I had a great songwriting part. My brother Donnie V. He's a fantastic singer, great songwriter.
Greatest groups
So
ever.
yeah, we went out and we really worked hard, and our inspiration came from what was happening on the street and bands from across the pond. We loved the Beatles, we loved Queen and Zeppelin and Mott the Hoople and Squeeze and Sweet and all those Rolling Stones. We loved all that stuff. But we liked American bands too, like Aerosmith and Cheap Trick. Those
Yeah.
are great bands as well. And
Right.
there's so many bands I can mention that I'm a big influence.
Well-
You show me a musician without influences, I'll show you a Jagoff who hasn't written one note, okay? So we all come from somewhere, and we always we paid homage and respect to all those bands. And then when Donnie left in 2013 for a third time because he was disillusioned by the business and he had some health issues, I could have went out and found a guy like the guys in Foreigner or
Motley.
Journey or Motley. Any of them bands went out and got other guys. I just said, you know what? Maybe I should just try it myself. And Donnie said to me, he goes, look, if you're going to continue moving on with Enuff Z'Nuff, you should sing the songs because you produced the record, you wrote the songs with me, and when you step up on stage, people are going to know it's Enuff Z'Nuff. And that's what I did.
Well, here's the thing. You reunited at Rocklahoma. Which one? 2007 or 2008?
2008.
Yes.
Yeah.
The year of the
of
them together.
2008 was the stage crashes.
Yes.
Yeah,
Tornado.
because Enuff Z'Nuff was the only band with a tour bus. I remember Sebastian came over and the guys in Tesla, only because we had great pot. They wanted to come by and smoke pot. But I had kids with me in the room, okay? And the kids were the children from, they were with Twisted Sister. So the Twisted Sister guys, can you babysit these guys to make sure they're happy? I go, no problem. So I put a Family Guy and American Dad on the back of the bus. And then we went in the front. We all smoked pot. And hung out. and then that tornado came by, and everybody was freaked out. And the parents were calling me, Chip, are the kids okay? They're fine. They're in the back watching Family Guy, American Dad, and South Park. Everything's cool. And then the front of the bus was all the rock stars: L.A. Guns, Faster, Pussycat, Sebastian Bach, Tesla. Everybody just puffing out like you wouldn't believe. It was such a great time. And we had the King's X we were listening to in the front of the bus. It was just a real celebration. And then we finally got through that tornado, and we were able to continue the concert.
Yeah.
And I remember driving through, I had one of the carts, your sister, who I love dearly. She gave me one of those golf carts, and I had the kids in the back with me driving around. And after about a half hour with the little kids, I remember they were going, Chip, there's trim. I taught the 12-year-old about trim. And then we went over. I go, come on, you guys, you got to stay with me. Mom and Dad, I can't let you guys down. I can't let your parents down. You got to stay close to me. And we ended up pulling one of those little, what'd they have, those little mud wrestling things you had, you know? So I go, come on, we're going to watch some mud wrestling. And the kids, 10 and 12 years old, they go, come on. So we started watching it, and the girls were pulling their tops off and fight. I go, I brought them to the wrong thing. I go, don't tell your parents what Uncle Chip is doing right now. And that little kid to this day, he's obsessed by trim. He can't stop looking at it. He loves it. So I think I think I left a good impression with those guys. And then we did helicopters too. You guys had the helicopters out there with the Marine guys that showed up there. So they take us up in the helicopters, and we go over. And it was a really good turnout. I mean, people in Oklahoma love hard rock and heavy metal.
It was a time and a place.
It was great.
That everybody, once you walked on that grounds, it was like, some people have called it the 80s metal reunion.
It was like Monsters of Rock. It was Monsters of Rock, really.
Yeah. You know,
and we got I remember you said, Chip, we're going to put together a band, and we're going to stay here for a week and do nothing but radio around the country.
We talked about that.
So we got the Bang Tango,
US
Boy Floyd,
66.
Enuff Z'Nuff,
Yeah.
Faster Pussycat,
US
Sebastian,
66, you guys put that band.
Route
Yeah.
66.
Yeah.
And then the first night, the Thursday night, the first
You
night
rolled
of the
in and
festival,
rocked
we rolled
out.
in and we played all those cover songs,
Yeah.
Bowie
Yeah.
and Cheap
Yeah.
Trick.
That
was fun.
Really fun.
Like we were
Great times.
talking
was
about,
awesome.
because you were calling Rob like, go, because you was doing radio in the morning, and then you'd drive to another city and do a show at night.
Of course, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Chip would call me Reuben
You
Kincaid.
nicknamed him Reuben Kincaid. I said, that's
Monkeys.
absolutely
Well, you were
perfect.
managing it sort of,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it was
and it's
awesome.
pretty hard to manage that mess of guys,
Yeah.
okay? It's a real motley crew, bunch of cats there. But everybody got up early in the morning, went down to the radio station, told wonderful stories. I played guitar, and I sang Fly Michelle and New Thing acoustically. People really loved it, and I think that helped elevate the perception of a little bit, because
Well,
people could hear
I
all
think
those rock bands getting together.
Well,
and-
you had the idea, Rob,
Yeah,
where we
we did.
went a 500-mile radius.
Right.
And we used that concept. You found all the rock stations in between. Then, because the cool part about Rocklahoma was we got to do promotions that we knew would work, but we tried them, but we had no money.
Right.
You know what I
Yep.
mean? And with these other the ones now, we had something behind us, but we also had a movement and momentum. Something that,
Well, and again, you touched on something. What our goal was the first and second year was to create something for that specific,
Genre.
segment or genre of rock. It's all rock and roll to me.
Right.
So when we start calling it hair bands and all this and that, I always kind of got lost in that. Yeah. But we were trying to do, because from my experience and in watching all these bands develop and everything, I never had seen a festival developed around these bands.
No.
It was, I did see, at that time,
maybe
it was,
one or two on the festival.
one or two on the festival, but you would see like the Monsters of Rock, and it was just dedicated to this specific, 5 or 6
Van
bands. and-
Halen,
right,
Whitesnake, Dokken,
But
et cetera.
these guys were, and my thought and our thought at that time was like, just like you said, was like, let's get them all together, one place, and let's not try to be everything to everybody, but let's be everything to this group
and
of people.
we became Hollywood in Oklahoma.
We did.
Yeah, so and it was again the strategy was very solid. We started with this kind of target style promotion where we went, okay, we want to find.
Well, it also kicked that genre of music to where you can get better gigs now.
Man, I'll tell you, I seen there's a
casinos.
documentary out that just came out. I was just hearing about it. You may know more about it, Chip, from a guy who has he got the rights to all of the MTV footage from this time period.
Yeah.
And he's doing this in
I seen one they re-released of them walking down in England when you first went over. You played the marquee.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like a
this
30-minute
this is
interview.
like, and it was they kind of mentioned Rocklahoma during this documentary, how it had kind of reboosted the interest in this genre.
Yeah.
Because again, it was when Chip made this call to a lot of these bands, they were all ready and willing to go. But I specifically remembering that a lot of these guys were, had second and third jobs. It wasn't.
They were removed from the music
They were
business.
removed from the music
Maybe
business
playing one or
because
two gigs.
one or two gigs. Because the flow of that traffic for them had shifted to a whole nother genre of music. So, and frankly, at that time, there wasn't as many music venues.
Right.
So I mean, right now we're seeing an explosion of music venues where they're just everywhere, and for us around here, specifically in Oklahoma, I can remember nights when we'd jump in the car and we'd go, let's go find a live band somewhere. And literally we would
All night long
trying to find a band, and we'd end up, we'd find one. It wasn't necessarily what we were looking for, but it was live music, and we were trying to keep it going. So again, I think that it was a family reunion, of sorts for that band. I remember specifically Stephen Piercy showing up in the back, and he's walking across, and I think he runs into Joe Lestay, and he's like, "What the?" And everybody's hugging and everybody's hanging out and everybody's
They're hanging at the Chip's white bus. That white
they were
bus.
all every Chip's bus was like the central focal point for I think Steven came in. Steven did come in on a bus because he had his race car trailer behind him.
Yeah.
He was doing that whole race
with the drag racing.
Yeah, the drag racing, so. Yeah, what an incredible kind of launch, I think, for a lot of these guys. And what happened to your buddy, the chef guy?
Yeah,
you remember the chef guy you introduced us to?
Yeah, he's a rock and roll chef.
The rock and roll chef.
He was hanging out with our bus driver, Tully Garrett, a wonderful guy, by the way. He owns a place called Route 66. And the chef is now living in Belfouche, South Dakota, and he goes to Amsterdam in the wintertime to churn butter. I don't know what else he's doing besides that.
Okay.
I know he was playing in a thing called a CCR tribute band.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
Creedence again, they're called.
You jumped in on that a little bit,
I
didn't
did
you?
a tour with him in 20 when I was playing with Adler from Guns N' Roses.
Right.
Adler's Appetite. I did a small little tour where we went to Germany, and we were selling out, playing everywhere we played. We were on tour with it was Ian Hunter from
Mata Hoople?
No, not Ian. No. Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he was doing like an acoustic thing and a real downplaying what he was doing. It wasn't Jethro Tull, but it was Ian. And we were doing opening shows for them, and it was really successful. And great, jam-packed every night. We were playing more like theaters and stuff. And I remember it was a hard time for the chef because he couldn't find the pot in Germany. And not many people speak English out there. They do, but they don't want to until they like you.
Right.
But we had a nice tour bus, and we were hanging out with the guys, the Bee Gees. I remember it was great. And we eventually found that brothels were legal there, so my job was I'd play the shows every night, and then the rock and roll chef would give me his wallet to hold. He'd pay me €100, and then he'd go have fun with the trim while I sat downstairs listening to Enuff Z'Nuff music and all the clubs. It was a great time. And I went there. I was there for a month. I remember Slash was out there and the boys playing shows. It was really successful for us, and it was a lot different than touring with the Guns N' Roses guy from Adler's Appetite or playing with Enuff Z'Nuff. And I came back home, and that promoter Wolfgang from Germany says, I had such a great time with you guys. I want you back again. Yeah. And I went back immediately and did another month out there.
Did you play Boss Pop over there?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, so matter of fact, I ran into you, I think, during Boss Pop. I had the hippies there.
Right.
The hippies open, and I ran into.
Did you?
Yeah. So.
Gotta love those cats.
Yeah, they got a new record out.
They're good guys, man.
Yeah. So I thought that I ran into you there. Yeah.
So I got to ask you a question. What was it like touring with Glenn Hughes?
Well, it's Mr. Pipes. I mean, the guy came, he had a trapeze.
Yes, did they play any trapeze?
He had Hughes Thrall Band. And then, of course, he's going out on this tour. It's nothing but
Joe
a celebration of Deep Purple. He's got Black Country Community, too. But they don't really tour a lot. They play sporadically. But for that tour we do with Glenn Hughes, by the way, second tour we did with him, he came out every single night playing all those old tunes, like stuff from Come Taste the Band.
Right.
And with Tommy Bolin, who I love dearly. Then he would do Burn. He really mixed his setup a lot every single night.
Did he do any trapeze?
He did do a couple trapeze songs.
Because that's my band, dude. But he was mostly focusing on Deep Purple on that tour, getting tighter. And his solo records are good as well.
But then he goes, after this tour, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something where I focus on all the bands that I worked with in the past. But he was telling me all kinds of stories about Deep Purple. All those guys are doing tons of blow and drinking the early days and out of control. They're unmanageable. And then at the end of it, they all went and put other bands together.
Right.
They put Rainbow together with Richie Blackmore.
Right.
And then, of course, Coverdale goes and does his White Snake thing. And he had no gig. He was depressed. So what did he do? He went and found Pablo Escobar and started drinking with Otis Campbell from Mayberry RFD. He was out of control. And then finally he goes, I got to stop this and get it together. And once he did that, got the Joe Bassamana gig and Joe's fantastic guitar player. Then started doing the solo records. And now he's, I just talked to him last week, he was in Dubai.
Oh, wow.
So he did Dubai. I know he did a couple, I think he did 6 or 7 gigs over in Australia. And now he's coming back to the United States. I think he came back yesterday.
The other thing,
they got another tour starting next year.
The other thing is, remember when you opened for Ace Frehley?
I did a whole tour with him.
Yeah, and I went and saw you in Tyler, Texas at that pool hall.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I got lucky there because I'm sitting at the Whiskey A Go-Go, and I'm doing a thing for David Fishoff, the old manager of the Monkees. He's got this thing called Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, right?
yeah.
He actually didn't he debut it at Rocklahoma 2008?
Yeah, he did.
He did. Yes,
So
he did.
He
David
went through
called me.
hell, but he
David heard I was
did go
doing.
through
David heard I
hell.
was doing. I was co-hosting the Man Cow show in Chicago. And he goes, "Yeah, I'd love to have you come out and be a counselor." I said, "Man, it'd be so much fun to do something like that." So it just so happens that Kiss is on this Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, and I'm at the Whiskey A Go Go. And what happens is, people around the country, fans that want to live their life vicariously through rock bands, they come in, they pay $6,000. You rehearse for 3 days. You don't even be a musician. You got 3 days to get your shit together, and then after that, you go on stage and you play at these iconic venues
right.
where all the big bands will
I think
play.
it's brilliant.
And it's a wonderful
It was
idea that David
brilliant.
had, and he really
He's-
loves people.
yeah.
So we go,
Well, it
we go
humbles
out
you
to the
too as a
Whiskey A Go Go.
musician.
Yeah.
And he's not a musician, Fishoff. He's a manager.
No, but when he hires guys like you,
he goes out and gets the best guys that
Yeah.
can deal with people.
Yeah,
so
no,
we show
but
up
he's
at-
had Sammy. He's had. I mean, he's
had
got.
everybody.
He's had everybody.
Everyone.
Man. He's
So
got everybody.
that year he had Kiss. He had Cheap Trick, Stone Temple Pilots,
Yeah.
and Alice in Chains.
And he mixes
Heart.
it up. He mixes it up,
Yeah, it's a
man.
real
It's not-
potpourri of
yeah,
great
right.
bands. So I'm backstage, and it's just Paul Stanley and me. He goes, "Man," he goes, "you guys write some really good songs, Chip." I go, "Oh, Paul, thanks, so do you." And he goes, why don't you guys do it? Why don't you guys open for Kiss? And we're doing a big Kiss cruise, and we'd love to have you play. I go, "I'd love to do it." He goes, "Well, we asked you last year, and your agency turned us down. I'm with Artists Worldwide." And I go, I know Chucky, my agent. He'll take a gig. He doesn't care if it's built. And go through South Dakota at noon at church. Okay?
Right.
Yeah. So I go, we must have been real busy, Paul. And he goes, "You want to do the gig?" I said, "I'd love to do it." He goes, "Yeah, if it's 4 shows." I go, "No problem, Paul." He grabs his cell phone. He doesn't even say hello. He goes, "Yeah, put Enuff Z'Nuff on the bill." "Okay, thanks." He goes, "Yeah, you guys are on." And I booked the gig.
That's
4 shows
awesome.
opening for Kiss. So after that thing,
That's rock and
I remember
roll.
after the 3rd show, I look out in the crowd, and there's Gene and Paul, and the whole band's out there watching us play with the manager, Doc McGee, who
Yeah.
coincidentally used to manage Enuff Z'Nuff.
Right.
And Doc,
Back in the
and
day.
they come up to me at the end of the show because we had Paul's son come up and play a couple songs with us, you know, and Baby Loves You and a few other ones. He knew the songs. He's a wonderful musician. Evan Stanley, his name is. So after the show, they came backstage, and Paul goes, "Chip, you should have been doing this 10 years ago." I mean, he really loved Enuff Z'Nuff show that night. And that gave me a lot of confidence to have from those guys. And Paul and Gene, everybody was so good to me.
Yeah.
And Eric Singer, just wonderful guy, great drummer. I toured with Eric in the early days. With
Tommy
Badlands,
Thayer.
he was great. And Thayer was so nice. I was playing a solo behind Torrey Stoffregan, my guitar player. And he goes, "Man, I love to play. You play guitar. You play as good as your guy." He goes, "I love that pentatonic stuff and the bluesy stuff." I was really a confidence builder. I come home, and I get a phone call from Ace Frehley's camp. Going, "Ace is going on tour. He wants to have you guys play." I go, "Yeah, just a show?" He goes, "No, we got 24 dates."
right?
So we jumped on that tour right after the Kiss one. How perfect was that, you guys?
Yeah.
And with no money, we're playing for peanuts. We had to pile everything in our drums, all the bass amps and guitar amps and stuff, everything in a little Sprinter van. Not even that, we had a minivan. We piled everything in there, me and the boys, Torrey Stoffregan at the time, Tony Fennell from Ultravox was our guitar
Right.
player, and Daniel Benjamin Hill. We all got on there and we just played all those shows. No food backstage, nothing at all, no rider,
Balls.
minimal money, but all the every show was sold out. And I remember going after the second show, because Ace only talked to one guy the whole tour, me. No one, he wouldn't come up to, because I know Ace from years ago, and he really liked Enuff Z'Nuff, and he's like, "Chip, are they taking good care of you?" I go, "Well, yeah, they are, but there's no food or rider." He goes, "Take whatever's on the bus." So Night Bob, their sound guy, who used to work with Aerosmith, he gave me all the donuts and cookies and all the sweet stuff, and we threw it in our van, and we went to the next city, and that's what we did every day. And we really grinded it out. Unlike the old days, we're on a tour bus, an ounce of cocaine,
Right.
a bunch of booze and loudmouth soup.
Right.
We really were down and dirty, and nobody was really. We were focused on the task at hand, which was let's give the fans a great Enuff Z'Nuff
Yeah.
show, and thousands of people every single night got a chance to see us.
Right.
And it really helped elevate the band's
But it's,
perception. helped us
you've
with the
been that
record.
way all this whole time.
Listen,
And
it's,
you still do
it's a
it.
blessing from above.
You know?
It really is. Okay,
Right.
we're lucky. We're still out there touring and working. You can't take it for granted. We're not charging for meet and greets. We meet the fans out there. We're appreciative that you still love the songs. The moms and dads that used to come out and see us in the old days when they were kids are now bringing their kids out to the shows. It's
Yeah.
really something really nice.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, you guys got anything else you want to add? Because Chip's probably busy and
Yeah, I gotta do sound check.
Yeah.
We're being live tonight. It's a great little venue. Wayman, promoter
this
guy's
is
really
a
good
great
to us.
place, you know.
Tony helping us out there. We're out with Zach Waters' band, really good band. Allegedly, Zach Waters is illegitimate son of Roger Waters from Pink Floyd. So he doesn't want to talk about it, though, but that's okay. His band's great. It's real blues-based. They're a fabulous band. They got a new record coming out. And Enuff Z'Nuff will be on tonight around 9:30 or 10, and we'll be playing all the hits. New Thing, Fly Michelle, Baby Loves You. We'll mix it up with some of the Beatles songs that we had on our album, Hard Rock
listen,
Night.
man.
So it should be good.
I love you.
Love you,
Thank
Max.
you.
Tell your sister I love her, too. I miss
you'll
her.
be talking
God,
to
do
her
I miss
soon.
her. What a wonderful woman.
Chip, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, thanks, brother.
Glad to hear
Appreciate you guys.
that was.
How nice is this, all of us together like this?
Absolutely.
All hanging out.
Hey,
It's just
that's what I
we
wanted
wonderful
to
need
do.
to do something
If the
where we're
walls
able to-
can talk backstage at Rocklahoma, we'd all be in jail
that's
right now. God bless you guys. Thank you.